Hello, hello.
Hi, I can hear you.
Nice, right? Maybe you could take a sample. I made six. See. So now I got to speak into it. Hello. Okay, you ready? Kelly, want to call the roll, please?
Commissioner Ayala, Commissioner Hutchins, I'm sorry, Commissioner Cassidy, Vice Mayor Cos,
Here.
and Mayor Pugh.
Here.
Testing, testing. Yes, if that's okay, Mayor, Commissioners, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, welcome to your first budget meeting. And also welcome to hurricane season, by the way, June 1st. Lots of things to talk about. We are going to make this as simple as possible, and sometimes making things simple is difficult. So bear with us. But as the commission knows, but for the edification of the public, we are still awaiting the outcome of Tallahassee's discussions this week on potential revenue changing or methodologies for collection changing. And so for now, of course, even if that wasn't happening, this is still the draft portion of starting our budget process. And so today we're looking at an overview of starting off with some successes, celebrating some things that we've accomplished and achieved along the way since last season. And then moving into taking a look at the organizational chart for next year and the budget summary, and then the CIP, which is the capital improvement plan for your review and potentially changes. And then we did have some time allocated here for budget reduction exercises. And that was really to start to practice for what Governor DeSantis wants us doing next year. I'm not sure it would be relevant since we are still waiting the outcome of this week's conversations in Tallahassee, so I don't want to waste anybody's time on that. But we are here for the afternoon. So with that, I want to get started with two quick presentations. It's very quick. One is going to be Kelly that is here, and then the other one will be someone who's remote for the next item. So Kelly is going to speak to you about some changes in how we communicate with residents. Trina's doing it. My apologies. I'm so sorry. Trina's doing it.
Hello, everyone.
Say your name for the.
My name is Katrina
You know
Pendon for the
why?
record.
Trina, there's a lady that does the minutes. She's going to need to know.
Oh, okay. No problem. Katrina Pender, Deputy Town Clerk for the meeting. Thanks. So basically what we have in front of you, if you can see, is TextMyGov. TextMyGov is replacing Civic Ready. We're still going to have Civic Ready available, but Civic Ready is only used for emergencies only, like hurricane, something, very emergency. TextMyGov is really going to be used for, like, say, a lost pet, broken water line. The good thing about it, we can also isolate an area. So if just in case I'm just going to say an area could be down the street over there, we could do with something that's kind of like a highlight the area, and we would only send the text messages, just alerting those customers that's within that vicinity. It's pretty much simple, but it's an easy way. It has a lot of benefits to us, in my opinion. And that's all this really is, just basically a new tool. And you should already receive the invite. You can opt out. A lot of people opt out, but then there's a lot of people that signed up, like 638 people we have. So, yeah, and it's also available online. You can go and click the bottom. If you go to our website, it's there. If you haven't received anything, it's pretty simple.
Send a target.
No, you won't get copied. It's only gonna be just for that particular area. It's either, so we can have it to where everybody's alerted, but some people may not want to receive alerts if it's somewhere down the street or it's not affecting them. But it's really up to you guys. Oh, just for the commissioners?
Seems like.
You're right.
We
You can do that.
we can definitely
could
do
say-
that. I will just have to get your cell phone numbers. Make sure they're already programmed in there. And have to
And have
get
ice,
your
like,
name.
yeah.
So all we have is like a listing of numbers. I can tell you this is what, so it's just a listing of those who've opted in. And just get your names on them. That way when they do go out. It's your.
You have it. 94. We had about 94 opt out. About 94? 638. So,
Give me your cell phone. That's it. Yeah.
yeah, it does it does a little bit more things than we had before, because it also sent out like the notices for your garbage bills too, like the sent out invoice. So it does a lot compared to what Civic Ready. Civic Ready was just pretty much simple. Just sending out the general information, but it's almost the same. You could still send out flyers, etc. But it's a little bit more detailed than Civic Ready, in my opinion. Yes,
I actually had to use it,
she did the other day.
years ago.
Yeah.
We had a lot of
Little break.
so we just found that area that's affecting. Just they grabbed it and just sent it to us. That's it.
Is that right?
I did on May 21st. It went out to everybody that was.
You didn't see it?
If you were on, if you have your phone registered to Ocean Ridge,
Ocean Ridge, yeah.
then it should have sent you. And if not,
We
then you
can-
can always, I did send out something to Civic Ready.
was just
to
gonna
give
say that.
everybody the QR code that you can use. And you can log it with.
Yes. You can just on
or
your
you
way
go to
out,
the Website.
Or
and
you-
find it.
like right on your way out, you'll see we got
It's right
quite a
there.
few, couple in the window, with QR codes. Or I can bring it up, bring it in. It's up to you guys if y'all want it. I could bring it in too. Would you like me to bring it in for you? And you can just use a QR code. I can do that. Anything that's easy for you. We just want to make it easy for everyone, so. Any other questions? There's a way we can check, but we would have to go on in the system itself.
Yes,
Mhm.
May 1st.
It's probably,
It would have been.
let's say, I can't remember what it said on that. They would say like Ocean Ridge, something like order. That's my name. Step up.
I gotta check. Okay. I can tell you what time it came out. It came out at 10. Oops. It's called Text Mega. I know.
I'm 14. Yes, here. Sorry, seconds.
If you don't have, if you got that text, that means you're already in there. If you didn't want it, then you can opt out. But right now I have you on the list. If you did opt out, if you got that text already in, you didn't opt out. Did you get the text? does not receive texts in, so we cannot get text back. It's just us. It's different. Right. Yeah, I guess. Well, to sign up, yes, but I'm talking about like the text that come from town, it will not allow anybody to like it.
Okay, next. Next, we have online, so you'll have to look up at the big television. But we have one of the newest additions to the town is the organization called FTC, and they do our government information system, so GIS, our mapping. And we acquired the contract with FTC when we went out to bid for engineering. And so you will see Teresa Chapman up there.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, we see you. And in the audience as well, we have James Barton, and James is one of the principals of the organization. Teresa is going to be the driver of the application today. And what I've asked Teresa to do is to show you the work that's in progress. So you can see what's coming to the website near you, to our town website. So I'll leave it to Teresa now.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can you guys confirm that you can see it?
We see the blocks. We see it now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, give me just 1 second, readjust here. Okay, it's very nice to meet you guys. As Michelle said, I'm Teresa Chapman. I work for Florida Technical Consultants and I'm program manager. We recently just started working with Ocean Ridge about 2 months ago, really, and we're really excited to kind of show you what we have built out. So we utilize ArcGIS Online to essentially house the GIS data for the town.
1 second, Teresa.
Yep.
Kelly's trying to make the volume a little higher.
Okay.
Volume.
Tester, tester.
I can see it. I-
Are you guys good? Michelle, do you want me to keep going? I can't
No,
really.
we're on hold because.
Okay,
we can
I just
barely
wanted to
hear
make
you.
sure.
I can hear you because there's a speaker right by my ear, but the commission is.
Okay, no problem.
And, you know, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Check, check. There we go. Okay. All right. Teresa, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So maybe I can just drive and you can show the pages so we can get this. So anyway, all your data is in this application called Esri, and it's an ArcGIS online application, and all your data is password protected for the town, but it's all in this platform. It's like a website platform. So then all the data is broken up into data groups, and all the users are broken up into data groups. So public works people don't have to necessarily deal with planning zoning. So we have what we built out so far is your town atlas based on historic information, utility atlas dashboard, and the field reviewer that we have for Bill. Okay, so this is what your town atlas looks like. We have the water storm system from the previous engineering company. So we have the potable water system, we have the stormwater system, we have layers for street signs, light poles, roadways, I guess the ECL line, the CCL line, which are engineering construction lines. We have the bridges, which is good for CRS. Buildable lots, unbuildable lots, open space, parcels, building footprints, flood zones, zoning, and the town boundary. Can you turn on zoning just for a second?
Mhm.
Yes. It's replacing something that was on somebody's computer buried. So now it's public facing and everyone can access it from the town. Part of the point will be for staff to see it so they can interact with information. And part of the point can be public facing. So the public will only see the layers that you want them to see in the format that you want them to see it. So this will be your public facing application. So the residents, when they log onto the website, they can log in and they can see certain information that you want to show them. So good things about that are they would know whether their lot, what their zoning was for the lot, or if they're in a flood zone or not. They would have to call, yeah. Sorry? Not yet, no. No, it's on there. We have the water system. It's there. No, we haven't done any updates based on the data, so that's what we're going to work on next with Bill is to. Yeah. So we haven't.
What Teresa's.
No,
You could just enter it in. Tell some ratings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About size and features. So they're all located at this point. We would just have to encumber what we have now, what has changed, and get it, and he'll enter new maps. So everything will be up to date. A lot better than it was in previous years.
Right? Available
Maybe
to see on the
it's
website.
Teresa, can you try and speak again?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Testing, testing.
All right, can Teresa,
Yeah,
let's try it with you. And where we're at is, we can move right to just showing how, staff will give the updates from the,
Sure.
from the field.
sure. Okay, so we went over the public application just really quick, Michelle. I do want to point out in this one, we did link to the property appraiser. So you can click on a parcel and it brings you to the property appraiser website for that specific parcel. We also have the zoning code down here that we can link to, the Muni code page. We'll have to check for that, but so this one, just some additional information, essentially the flood zone, and it reports back to you that particular address. Okay, so since from there we built out, so essentially the town atlas just houses all of the available GIS data that we've converted thus far. Then we moved over to building a utility atlas, which is specific for utilities. Our intent with this is to utilize a field application that we have these map update form. It consists of points and lines where internal staff can actually go out in the field on a mobile device, access this map, and then they can communicate discrepancies in the data to us. So they can actually come over here, they're going to drop like a need map update point. Let's say this fire hydrant's actually on this side of the road. They can drop the point, fill out information, take pictures of it, and then we can actually update the base data internally, push it back out to the online platform, and then the rest of the staff would have access to that also. From there, we just have the utilities kind of built out, and we also can create what is called a dashboard. This is another view within ArcGIS Online. Again, it's housing or referencing that same utility atlas application, but it's giving you quantities based off of your data. So right now we have 145 hydrants. These are water meters, T's, plugs, catch basins. We also have total quantities down here. So we can say we have 16 miles of potable water main and 6 miles of storm. Down here, you can see there's various graphs. This is actually giving me a total linear foot per material or diameter that we have in the system right now. The goal is to kind of, QA/QC some of this out in the field with the team and then just further update this data.
That's pretty much it. Thank you, Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
Still work in progress. And one of the things that FTC is doing that's very helpful is making sure not to do double work. So if it exists out there, there's a link that will be connecting to where it exists. So we don't get charged for work additionally. But this also gives us the opportunity to get an entire inventory of what is out there, not just the valves, but anything that we might potentially need to know in case we were going to sell it in the future, or if we were going to just want to know where everything is and be able to know the value.
So on this, is the basics. Yeah. But thanks.
Yes. Yeah, it's not, it may not be the same exact color coding that what you saw in mapping before, but the phased in approach will show the as-built, what's new and what's existing. And each time that the newer engineers see what is actually in the ground versus what might be on map, it's getting updated. And that's what we mean by the as-built. So we have a true
Yeah, you'll have to know. You'd have to know.
Is it log in, if you log in, your line log in, so we can move your.
I mean, one of your people.
Yeah.
See some.
You have to sign
off on those. It is been level.
what is, all right, thank you, Teresa.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
All right, so number 2, we're on to already, organizational chart and personnel review. So and what everybody does, yeah. Yeah, we are
Thanks a lot.
decades.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was one of the things that I was most excited about, was being able to get up to speed on knowing what we own, where it is. And City of White Beach has been helping with some of the aspects. All right, so before I move on to the organizational chart, what I did have in front of you, I sent the big one, the large one that says workforce and overtime dashboard. I wanted to give you an at a glance of how we're doing so far this year, the year that we're in. No, it's going to be this one, the workforce. Don't have that. Here we go. 2026 workforce and overtime dashboard. as you know, because we're a small team, overtime is essential. We can't avoid it all the time, but we certainly have reduced it quite a bit from previous years. But that comes from constant monitoring, and even with constant monitoring, what you see here is that during peak times, we still must pay for some overtime. When you see in the center there, the overtime at a glance, month by month, and you see December at a peak and March at a peak, I would call out that those 2 months in particular, they have 5-week months. And so payroll gets done in those months as well. And so that would generally peak anyway. But what we're learning, because it's the first time we're starting to track this, what we're learning is that we do have seasons. And especially great examples in dispatch. We only have 5 people that work in dispatch. But it may not be worth bringing on a full another FTE when we only peak during these seasonal times. We do the calculations, we try to change the way they're scheduling vacations. And outside of the sick time or, hurricanes, the unpredictable, they're starting to get a really good hold.
It's almost.
Correct. It's public safety related, and you'll see also the other one that's high is public works, and it's mainly billing. What you see with that though is not, and there's really not much that we can do to avoid that other than contracting out everything that's after hours. It's not, right? And he's very mindful and conscious of it. We discussed when we started working together, what that looks like when he gets called out. And he turns it over as quick as possible to whoever gets contracted to come out, but it's they need to get to. Well, thank you. And that is every department head watching it. So I wanted to make sure you said. On dispatch, we actually, the chief and I and Courtney, the supervisor, we spoke about the overtime mid-year, right around December. And Courtney as the supervisor, she's an hourly associate. And ideally, our dispatch supervisor should be a dispatch manager and they should be exempt. Yeah, and so that means that they would just be salary. We would then absorb some of the overtime. Of course, their salary would bump up a little bit more. But that's where we're heading to, because the more overtime is needed, the more we're going to really need either a part-timer, which is very difficult to get a part-time person in dispatch.
So. Live with the bank.
Exactly, sir. And this is, this year I would consider to be a baseline year for us to take a look at. When we take a look at last year's, it's a little more erratic and harder to track. But right now, every one of the supervisors that's in charge of scheduling is mentioned.
So we talk this.
It's at least 6 weeks. Make sure you're.
Extent. So over time, that's. Worse. But you're not affected it. So it's not good.
It's not a risk. It's not a risk.
Right, but I mean, it's cheaper. We have to pay because there's only 5 people cheaper. When somebody goes on vacation, they have to feel that. I just somebody paying some vacation. So, yeah.
The last choice. Correct. And the last choice, contingency option, if you will. If we needed a backfill, some of the officers are trained to be dispatched and they can fill in. But that's, for me, the last choice, because I don't want to take an officer off the streets for dispatch. And the ladies that are in there are very mindful, and they really love the job. And so, we're good right now, but we do have to watch it to your point for the human aspect of burnout. if people feel like they're getting taken advantage of. But I don't think we're anywhere near there. I really think that they do a good job of balancing it. And at this point, you have, you have a supervisor that's over that department in particular. And then you have a lieutenant that monitors and then is the supervisor for the dispatch as well. And then you have chief of police. So there's opportunities for people to use an open door policy if they had any concerns at all. We're not here to miss.
That's what's coming with the. Yeah. Officers. Dispatch.
And overall, it's just 2% of the overall payroll year to date. So I wanted to make sure we touched on, again, a celebration. So moving on with number 2, organizational chart, personnel review. The organizational chart that's in your backup material is the updated version for this year. Again, dependent on the discussions that are happening in Tallahassee, we currently have moved the code compliance, basically the code enforcement officer, over to underneath the police department. We'll get it, Commissioner. Thank you, Billy. What you also see, and we talked about this during the one-on-ones, is on some of the administrative staff, we're making it more visible to see how their jobs are being divided, if you will, between not just doing their administrative role, but also how are they supporting the building department and also how are they supporting the police department. And so that's more reflective of. As you see too, in this organizational chart, I still have a block that shows a role for treasurer and human resources. That is a role that is within your code, not eliminating and changing any of your information there, but it is vacant and will remain vacant this year. Again, due to the unknowns and ambiguity coming from potential revenue stream changes, we are not looking to add any new positions or backfill any positions that this year. With that, if you're okay with any questions on that piece.
I guess. So somewhere like paper I started and when I was. And then it's 8:20.
I think you do the class 1-7.
Cheating. So you have to take sport house. It's just. How does that stand?
There's a, I don't know if it's a federal or if it's a state average. It's 1 for every 121 residents is really what most cities and most PBAs want. Yeah, that's the benchmark. So we're lower than that, much lower. Didn't have the population number on there. It was 1840. 1840 is the number that was used for it. That was from the census. We hired, or you hired somebody, or filled some. Yeah, that was for the. dispensary. Okay, proposed budget summary, number 3. We pass out the document that you. It's the same for last year. I'll move on as well. So you can look at this and also with the large budget at a glance. That is the information that's at a glance. And if you wanted to go by department, that's why I just gave you the detailed by department information. And the items that stick out the most are really going to be the largest increases is public safety operations, $577,000. And infrastructure and physical environment, 157,000 more. And building department inspections at 117,000 more, and town manager operations, 75,000. That being said, what you will see,
It's that orange box on it.
Oh, it's just ugly.
this is the proposed, and that's those are the raw dollar increases. But that's what's driving the budget as far as, just a dollar amount. Yeah, so, but we're actually lower than last year. So these are projects that were added. Actually, let me look and see what. I think I'm just confused.
This chart is, it's lower to be.
It's not over last. It's just, these are largest increases that you see in the budget itself, but the budget itself is lower than the previous year. So the general fund is 23%. If you look at the top right, the budget to general fund is about 24% less. But the driving numbers, these are some of the driving numbers.
So they haven't been.
Yeah, this is the draft, the budget itself, we've not added anything outside of salary increases out of COLA for administrative staff, unless you all want to do something different. And the PBA, which continues to be the 4.5%. And the increases for insurance, we're estimating a 15% increase. Outside of that, there's nothing else that we've really added. We've got less projects. And we are moving in a direction of trying to keep it as low as possible to keep the funds that are coming in either all capital based or into the reserves because of the unknowns. It's usually later. This is really today is a day where we can talk about, well, we can talk about anything you want, but we usually will talk about your capital projects that you really want to see done. Yeah. Yeah, I'm quite comfortable with that. For me to be able to reward and incentivize individuals that are working hard is important. And if somebody gets and if they're doing their job and a thumbs up, then great. And if they're doing more than their job, then I would love to be able to give them that reward. And sometimes that means if you give me like a 2%, that 2% overall budget, maybe somebody gets a full 2%, maybe somebody gets 1%, and somebody else gets 3%. I can work with that number.
It'll be.
That's my job. So I think one of the things that you all have said in the past is you like the cost of living increase, whatever that number looks like. And it has varied when I to some of the meetings between 2% and 3%. So I would say to consider what that looks like. And you don't have to decide that today, but I would love to have that number before August. We,
Yeah, just.
yeah, you know, I had another box that this just got to me too. And the other box, yeah, the other box showed the breakdown, which I know that Commissioner Inner likes to have, which is the percentages, you know.
So as far as this book box, like that. I don't know. What he's saying. Is that-
Yeah, these are
Can't
just
be true.
some of the biggest numbers. They're just the biggest numbers in the budget. These are just the biggest numbers. in the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Six point three for 6.3. It's okay, I think. Yeah, it was pretty interesting, actually. So I had. The new homes, I mean, I kind of assume. Never, and it's tear down. Cheap house. Build the great space. So that there's gonna be. So just. Keep this, the turn out. So it's. Maybe it's your bad here. It's. The only concern is many. Yeah. So we should have, we should have any input from Macon. So I was surprised to. So that caused objections. So. So. So it doesn't. Data. That was.
Yeah, and you know, you were right to make that assumption because in for instance, just the last handful of years, in 2023, the percentage change for that growth was 18%. Then it dropped down in 24 to 12%. I know you have information, but I'm reading it out loud. 2025, it was still 10% value change. And in 2026, 9.7, so in essence 10. So when it came in, you know, I went to open it, assuming it was going to be around 10% and it was 6. And really think about what that means when we're trying to, what do they call it? Deconstruct the recipe, if you will. What our main revenue driver is making sure that the market here remains steady. And so making sure that we allow our residents to get the improvements done that they want to get improved, expand on their homes in the proper way, of course, you know, within building codes. But trying to find a way for us to do our role as far as what the Florida building codes want us to do and getting out of the way is the right balance for us because we want people to be able to improve their homes. That's the biggest driver.
At 5.4 mils, we raised 8.5.
Yes, with the 5.4 mils, it's a 10.5. Well, the total budget, that's the revenue, the 10.58 is going to be your revenue. And then the 19 is going to include monies that we spent, as well as monies that we receive in, and other revenue sources.
Other revenue, it's $1 million. So that we can see.
So our total budget is 17, right? That was last year's is 19. capital funds. So if you look at the top right, for instance. So if you look at the top right box, the orange one, and it shows for the proposed 2027, the general fund itself bringing in around 11.3. So that's going to be your ad valorem and all your local tax revenue streams. And then additional just state tax revenue streams, all of that together is around that 11.3. And then the expense of the capital projects, if you want to spend this much at 6.6 mil,
Here's that.
it's both. So you'll have monies that are not spent from last year. There's some that are reserves. It's gonna be about 4 million in reserves if you go this route. But I listed. No, doesn't necessarily have to be. But you should plan on that being for the 1 year. So if a project doesn't get complete, then it's a curious. But you won't see those numbers again in a forward facing year. We have to account for it this year if you're approving it.
I think. Revenue. Adding. So I think that.
Don't forget that we have a certain number that comes in, but we use in the budget 96% of the total anticipated amount. And that is just in case it doesn't all get cut up. So it's at 96%.
Okay, but today.
After you tell me, probably July. Yeah, next week, but on this next thing we're gonna talk about, it's the biggest spend. And that is the capital information. So, okay, we can move right to number 4, which is the proposed 5-year capital. So again, 2 large documents in front of you. One that says current, this is the one that you approved last year. I have that there just for reference. You need the
A current and a current. This, you don't have second.
My prices.
Thank you, Karen.
I don't.
promised you, Vice Mayor, that you would have things enlarged. You told me not to make it small. And they don't work on the digital.
That's right.
We looking at first, Greg?
Draft includes a couple of projects, and if you read the information in your backup material, I gave you a summary of each of the projects, but these are some projects that have either been brought to some of you individually by residents, would like to see it, or you've been working on it altogether. So let's just start from the top on column for heading 2027.
And this is on the draft.
This is on draft. So this is speaking to the year that we're going into. Going to concentrate on. This is following the priorities that you established last year. And that means that the priorities still remain the water main and the infrastructure for the town. So right now for 2027, I have 250,000 allocated for phase 4. I believe that's just a catch-all in case there's anything left over after the phase 4 is completed. We should be done with phase 4 before we start the next fiscal year. So we'll get done before the end of September. Then the next one is phase two, and phase two is the water main that goes right in front of town hall, as you all know. And then it's from East Ocean north, and we'll meet up to the end of phase one that you already completed. That is the $2 million. And that's a roundup. It's, we're anticipating that between 1.7 and 1.9, so it's rounded up. So there may be some excess within that line item. Yes. Yeah, I think that before the end of the fiscal year spent. So that is. We've just, yeah, carried forward, will be allocated to the previous year. Some of this is dependent on if we receive the appropriations funds that we requested from the state. So on this particular project, we asked our state representatives to fight for us for, initially, we were asking for the 600,000. This would be the second year that we've been asking for it. And as you know, when Senator Berman was here and gave her update, she had let us know that it was reduced down to 300,000. And it really is going to depend on if the governor vetoes it. It is, and last year he vetoed it.
Yeah.
So if we hear back that gets vetoed again, this may be an item that we may want to consider moving out to 2028 or taking a different phase first. You know, we could take a look at that between now and again July, but $2 million allocated to a water main phase, whether it's phase 2 or phase 3, is still. And we have the funds for it. The small items here for tidal walls and road safety improvements, these are all under $500,000, but these are items that each one of you had asked for in the past, said you want to start paying attention to these items, so we've allocated it from this year forward.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, I have Diamond, my apologies, down towards the bottom, I called it Diamond Street, it should have been Diamond. That's what you're hearing on, right? The hearing now. We did get some hardening money from the state. We didn't get it yet, but we have some hardening money from the state. And as a matter of fact, I received an email, I want to say Thursday or Friday from the state. And I started to talk to the mayor a bit about this, but they're changing the requirements a bit. So midstream, they've moved from having areas secure their facilities for the 100-year storm to securing them for the 500-year storm. And in our case, the 500-year storm indicates that they want us not just to make sure that all windows and the roof are ready for the 500-year storm. They want us to surround the building with the flood protection. So these are panels. Somebody who doesn't want to give the grants out, I think. That's what I think. And so the newest thing since I spoke to you last, Mayor, the newest thing is when I gave pushback and said we're not interested in having to pay for the panels in order to get the additional grant. And this could be another $100-something thousand easy. That's not the problem. The problem is, as you know, your public safety officers stay in the building during a hurricane, during storms. And so think about taking panels and wrapping this building in it. I thought Billy was going to have a heart attack when I started to tell him about it. They attach to the building like a track.
Oh, I remember seeing. Especially like.
So you installed the fire trust.
Yeah, but you could get it. Yeah, but.
They don't work.
So is this 500 just for the party that we achieve by the state and the vendor already is now subject to this?
Correct, the HMLG grants, HMGP grants. So then the latest email from HMGP was as of Friday, again, me giving pushback. And they came back and said, okay, part of your facilities are in the 300-year storm, and part of them are in the 500-year storm. So they're asking us now to wrap the building with the exception of the front door entrance for the city hall, town hall, and the front door of the police department. They're saying that both of those front doors are in the 300-year, and we can go ahead and get away without putting panels in front of them. It does apparently. It does. You know what, Mayor, I've said this before. I really just think that they're trying to refine things to either be able to do more line item vetoes or not give grants that they initially had intended to give out.
No one's.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So your
I think we jumped up right. So
your seawall is the third one down, sorry. And I had 800,000 from, we already have 800,000 allocated there. And it is actually that grant is set at FEMA right now, waiting for final approvals. So I don't know how much we're anticipating. The last information they received, they moved it from our matching ours at 800,000 and giving 600,000. So I will wait and see what it comes back. As you look down this information, Commissioner, if there's something that's less important or you think we should allocate funds towards that seawall, we can continue to do that. What you will see when you move down, though, is a continuation from me on that, on the resiliency corridor, which I'll get to as we get to the bottom there. I really would, at this point, if, as I said to you before, if we don't hear back from FEMA by the end of their fiscal year, which is June 30th, on the seawall, I think we should move forward with just paying. I agree. So this will be our second year waiting.
So I have a question.
So that's ideation. That's what I would like to think about as proactively looking at areas that might be either needed for acquisition for drainage or for water retention to keep the flooding from homes or adding to town hall area. It seems like we always are talking about the miss that happened based on a lot that came up for sale in the history. And so I feel like there's an opportunity there to put some funding in a reserve, if you will, just make it towards acquisition. Here you can put it there, and so when something comes up, you. Which you can, but here at least you're not spending money without foresight. You're saying, I know that something might come up, let's go ahead and put some money, so. Town hall hardening, I have the 300,000 there in case you all wanted to buy panels. Well, 250,000. I mean, I'm not gonna continue to push back. I'm gonna continue to put, so I feel as though, we have a better chance of getting it. The other part of. Garage, go ahead. It's not, no, I agree. So the other part of that with the, just to entertain. The windows, remember initially when I started working here, place on windows. And the wind mitigation that we, got the inspection done, and wind mitigation shows that all the windows that you have in this facility are hurricane rated. And so, really the reason the windows were being requested to get them replaced by your previous town manager is because they wanted access, none of them open. And so two reasons, one, in case the air goes out, or the electricity goes out, or you need to open it for some reason, and the generator's not working, that there was a reason there to have them open. And then second, again, ingress egress, if somebody's in the building, needs to get out and they can't get out, we wanted at least to have that option. So that's why they were moving forward. So in this discussion, I spoke with the grantors and I said, we don't have a need to replace all the windows. And all the window replacement is a couple $100,000. I would like to replace 8. Then we found out it was 11, but I said I would like to replace a small portion, if it's less than a third of the windows, so that the ones that are in offices that we know somebody sleeps in, if you will, can get out. And I was not able to. They said you either replace them all or nothing. And I said, I don't want to spend the taxpayer dollars unnecessarily. Oh yeah, I can send you all these. But I just shake my head. And so again, that was, they said, well, you're potentially going to lose your rent if you move forward with that unless you do modification. So I had to do a whole modification for the grant to ask them just to do the roof and just pay for the 8 windows too. But again, it goes back to what are we trying to achieve here? You know, we're being good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, and they're basically trying to shut it down. All on the same grants. That's the same one. Okay, I'm making you feel great, right? All right. Then as we keep moving down, some of these are self-explanatory. Drainage outfalls, those are areas that Billy has identified as potential needs. Road safety and access improvements are just that. If there's an area that either needs a curb or needs a curb removed, that type of thing. It's got some areas identified. But as we move down to the lower area, Blue Way Trail Initiative. It's and in the column, it's red and it says $250,000. And what I'm asking for here is funding for planning. So in order to execute the directions that we are receiving again from the state grantors on how to utilize the property that just conservation land, we can't have a landing dock on that property, but we can create a Blue Way trail around it. It's like a hiking trail, but you can't hike because it's land, it's no land, right? So it's just, you have markers, and so we would be able to let it right. No, it's down here on the bottom, yeah. So if you look at previous year, I had allocated 200,000 for it, but I think it's more realistic to say 250 for planning. So this is important because it's actually a deliverable for us for. And we have not. Yes. And we are still in the process of providing deliverables for that grant, which include a second appraisal on the property. And additionally, they've asked for a second environmental study on the property. And I've pushed back on the second environmental study and asked if we could just answer a questionnaire with the first environmental study that we paid for. They were concerned that the land may have been used or developed in the past. And they were categorizing it for some reason under a brownfield area. I don't know why. Right? I asked Billy, I've asked everybody that yeah, we went way back and yeah, you know what? Yeah, please go. If you want to speak. Make sure that
Hey, Robbie,
make sure your microphone.
we're in a budget meeting, so you've got everyone's attention right now.
Says about the operations of the church, you know, it's about, I think it's about the truth, but essentially, you know, they also go down here. Except those. So, the final one is that's just.
So like, break that down for that meeting.
More than public safety.
It's not public safety. Not an added violent. Yeah, so I can see they had just the public safety piece, education, some infrastructure, they actually takes them entire. Didn't mention anything like straight from south raise, regulations, raise. And now they expand the language and operations and construction.
This is for the amounts above the exemption.
Yeah, so anything that's strictly no exemption.
And the exceptions, would it be 250?
It's like 250 right now, it's the step in,
Step up.
so like
150.
50 to 250. And then they language in there, it talks about future residents. They would have this benefits.
That's a 5-year.
5
thing.
years.
Yeah.
So is the operations definition nebulous or precise?
It's exactly that, it's pretty cool, it just says it's like, except this, it's pretty much it.
Huh?
It's what we're gonna do with this operations. It's not like that.
Sounds really.
It seems like we
So
said that, whatever. It's just a
like
big.
broadly what we're like.
We're just changing the
looking at is
exemption.
The 250.
All you're doing is changing the exemption.
Oh, that's.
I think that's, I think that's.
They're trying to find. I just make yourself, I just.
So if we wanted, we could get rid of our own taxes.
Put any age in there, like 65, I don't think anybody is. Well, obviously, we need to back to the year.
All right, wow, that's great. Well, it's better. It has, yeah. All right,
And then they did. So technically.
oh,
Wait a minute, I thought they were included in the exemptions, you just said they're not in the.
Yeah, that means school tax can still.
not rejected.
So.
Yeah.
So.
That's gonna cost you.
So, Jimmy, I want to make sure. Public safety is included. Use that. Education is
Or
not
protected, say protected.
protected. Education is not protected. Retirement monies will be protected. And operations will.
So it's a separate conversation on it. It's part is, that they, that they think if you, the state, what they study is subject to 25,000.
Yeah, you're mixing up two things.
Okay.
We can use the amounts over 250. Gives us anything, just like. We're up to the 250. If we have big tools, so we'll do this, that's the. So over 25,000.
Yes, go to your tax. Time. We tax them every bit
Full
of
amount
step
other than your
time.
Right.
No, everything else, I guess for the language. Straight.
Right, it's a one size fits all.
That's 250.
Yeah. So it's still gonna be devastating to the public.
And we have taken about 80 seconds. Make the county. The entire county.
Port St.
They said
Lucie,
it by apartments.
Port St. Lucie is gonna feel a $200 billion. They- On Friday, they showed that.
Wow. Robbie, thank you.
That's fine. They're
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. For taking, like,
I think roughly. It's fully based in.
The AI version of saying it's 200,000.
4,000 tons.
That's 20%.
400.
so that's usage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. By 400. Well, think of it, it's 5.4% of the total. Things. That's the issue.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. That'll be a
That's
nice
what's
easy,
running the.
a nice easy week for me. I'm just,
But they're still there till Wednesday.
I know, that's right.
They can
That's
still,
right.
they can still throw it.
You know, they needed 13 additional votes to turn it to not, for it not to confirm. They would have needed all of the Democrats to vote against it. They would have needed an additional 13 Republicans. They told us Friday at the conference. And so what are the likely odds of an additional 13 against voting against it? Not great. So we knew something was going to pass, we're just not sure. That's good, right? So the 250,000, yes, this is a deliverable, and you know, it's part of the plan that we as a town committed to giving the state.
Exactly, our residents get out of that.
1,050,000. Well, but there are.
We could, honestly, we could, I just, you know, at some point you just have to evaluate the return on these grants because there's so much work that goes into them. And it's, you know, you're paying consultants for the grant writer, you're paying consultants for the engineers, and you're paying consultants for environmental studies at the time. So
We actually do.
it's a recreational area, it's a recreational area.
$250 million.
That's the plan, and actually, that's not the construction. So the plan,
That's just a plan.
the plan for the buoys and also the plan for potentially a place for people to be able to get access to the. Oh, the other part of that, the, here's what I'd like to
It's
do.
frustrating.
Yeah. And managing it.
They're big.
Oh.
I see it. They really do, we just do it. Lovely.
We're also spending another million.
No, that's on the budget.
I got that.
Right, so if, so the deliverable there is, we have to show where people will be able to gain access. Where are they gonna be able to put their kayak in? And so one of the plans, so we talked about linear park. All right, so that's okay. The property itself right now is zoned whatever we left it at, so. Conservation, but it's not in perpetuity. And, but these grants, you know, like once you accept the grants and everything, you are saying that you're going to leave conservation in perpetuity. And it's preservation. And because you have that asterisk there, you will not be able to build any type of landing pad around or on that property. And remember, there's no land there. It's not like so there's an opportunity over by Inlet K area, by the bridge, that there's space on each side of the bridge. And I think part of the plan way back when this initially started was potentially having parking spaces on one side or two, maybe, I don't know what will fit there. That's part of the plan that would have to happen. And then on the other side, it would be the launch for the kayak area.
I don't think that's.
I'd have a concern on that. As about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, we had to raise those seawalls because of flood. So both sides, north and south side of Inlet K. Yeah. So in order to,
So what I would like to do, if it's okay with you, is I would like to keep the allocation of the planning dollars on this paper. And again, continue the conversation with the deliverables and the grantor. Because we do have deadline dates, so we've got a milestone date at I think it's June 26th. And then we'll have another milestone date sometime in August. So I love that for them to see that we actually have the dedicated dollars set aside to move forward on this plan. And I say it like this, but I'm gonna say it like this, because maybe it'll call out their bluff for that. So if they're gonna continue to just put out roadblocks and say, now you have to do this, and now you have to do this, we'll know more in a little bit of time, and it's not costing us anything. I don't have to spend that right away. But I have to show that you have a commitment to it, because that's a deliverable that we have, is the commitment to the plan. It does help me. So right now, what I need is, for the next steps on the actual plans, it would need to be a plan from true engineers. And right now, I'm working with the grant writer to create a narrative plan. That is something that we've written. Commissioner Cassidy has read part of it already. It's pretty solid. And it will satisfy us getting to the next step if they actually are going to move to the next step with us. And it may not cost all of that, but it's an engineering plan where they have to look to see where access points can be that won't interfere with other conservation areas and where it can link up to other way trails. And if it's a significant enough trail for what we're talking about, which could be just, let's say it's either from Linear Park or from the area in the K area, they may not think that's far enough. Maybe it needs to go somewhere else. So there are recreational specialists that will review it. And I can put that into the, I can put that in. Yeah, and I've done it. I can say, I'll send you what I have. And I'll add to it the portion of working with the city of Wind Beach for an additional landing area. Because they do have a spot across the way. Yes. Okay. In case we have to do construction for parking areas and it's, if you have to do that, that would have to be raised.
And now they we're just saying.
We'll tell them, we'll kind of deal with that. So.
They own it. Too, so.
So I can keep that. There.
It's a 270, but no.
I have to keep the million there to show that we have commitment to construction dollars, but I'm not, I mean, this is next year, so we're not spending. You want me to pull it?
Well, I don't.
Okay. Okay.
Does it help you?
I think so.
Not just next.
Let's do it. Yeah, that's right.
It's not till.
Somebody, like these future ones are, some of our numbers are true. You know, it's a planning.
Can I grab their? It just makes me.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Got it.
Tell us about natural gas. conversations.
The natural gas conversations were not as positive as we had hoped for. Initially, when the mayor and I had the first conversation, they led us to believe that it would be as inexpensive as $600,000 to bring a main line through town, which is what we told you at the meeting. That representative, remember, he did come to the meeting and introduce himself. So we were on track for there until they actually started to run some math and understand the pressure that is already lowering within their system. And so today they talked to us about the subaqueous line that they would need to put in between Woodbright and potentially, you know, somewhere between Railroad Bridge and Manalaman. So they didn't really say where, and so that they would have to run a line that's about 3.5 miles from the mainland. And they were willing to absorb that cost. That's great. But then they went on to tell us that the main trunk line, Force Main, would be basically around 17 million. So we went from 600,000. Well, I said at the meeting today.
It goes from 600 to 7. You getting me?
That's what it's. So help somebody out. They asked.
We met earlier with them today.
Really big, can't talk. So the gas. Gonna get to.
Yeah,
Barely,
they've got a problem.
They've got a problem, yeah. But
We're gonna help solve their problem.
So we can't extend that, then we want out and same thing, and it can't. Would be tens of million dollars to get it. So they're gonna run a 12-inch. Yeah, five times. All the stations get it all the way through, then okay, then they're gonna put it in a station Oh, that actually. Take a base.
So they got enough pressure. I need to do that.
So base tables like. you did- That was the meeting thing.
It was a bad meeting.
Yeah.
All of the.
I said it's cheap. I said it's cheaper for us to pay for every single unit to have a propane tank.
Yeah.
I mean, how would they come in? It's-
He was there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, apparently
And it's only.
the other man that was part of that original presentation doesn't work there anymore.
And all they got. That's what they, that they're. They're like 2%.
Well, they're gonna have to fix that.
You feel like that?
We don't do it. They don't have enough pressure.
I think it's an issue for them. Yeah, you know, for me, I asked, how do they, you know, the Public Service Commission regulates all of this. And so I asked, how do they remedy this? They've now isolated this town and service is unavailable as far as. I'm concerned. And there was no answer really. So maybe we write a letter, you know, as a commission to the, yeah. Right?
But we have no.
Yeah.
I'll say, yeah, they should check on that.
Why so.
Maybe it's not that.
Except for the $17 million
Yeah.
bill. Yeah, it's almost free.
Literally,
It's a
we
different-
sat there.
Right.
I said, that's a. They had this green match. With the green line, for 2 miles, $17 billion. And they said they're paying, they was another.
Yeah.
Because I think they wrapped that in that. We're gonna take the 600. Sure.
Yeah, so I think if it's okay with you, I would like to move that money up to the sea. To the seawall. With an assumption that in case FEMA doesn't come through for their $600,000 and we then are ready to go.
Oh,
That's next. Can you give me the next slide? That make it just.
What's going on there? Bob told me that he was talking about. That responsibility is fire.
Well, we're not there having to pay for it yet. That's an ideation thing, but the FDOT, this is my understanding, you for years have been working with FDOT trying to come up with a solution, which included some walls. And instead, what you received was a berm. And the berm has been replaced multiple times and breached, and it will continue because it's land. And so that's why I wanted to go to this next item. So if we could talk about this. I don't know if you could just get on just this slide, you know, do that so that they can just see the vision. Kelly, would you make it just a slide? Now, I don't think you need the slide because you guys know what it looks like, but Ocean Ave comes across the bridge. And then on each side of the bridge, you have areas that get breached. Your immediate to the south is Hudson Avenue. Your immediate to the north is Coconut Lane. Both of those areas are inundated in the 500-year storms, for sure. We are moving in that direction for fixing Hudson. And here's one of the new things with the Hudson seawall. The Hudson seawall was initially written up that it would be about 5 to 6 feet above base floor elevation. And in order to even qualify for FEMA to look at it, we had to say we'd be prepared to allow it to go to the 500-year storm height, which they're asking for 8 to 10 feet. So 8 to 10.
That's the part we're going to.
Yes.
Back there.
So that's, so Billy and I met on it and I had a verbal conversation. I had a verbal conversation with the gentleman that,
That's right. That's Southwest Seas. We'll call it the ocean.
so they won't even let us get past the point of what they call RFI, where they go through and they ask for required information, further information, and requested further information. So FEMA right now is looking through everything, and the only thing that was holding it up was that. So I said, I think it's unrealistic to say that there'll be a 10-foot wall there. And so the gentleman said to me, I recognize that. If you allow us to move forward, what we can do is put language in there that says, unless a certain structural engineer creates a narrative of why it has to be a certain size because of the engineering. So I said, fine, I agreed to that. So that's where we're at. We're waiting for FEMA to go through and say that. So that's when I started to research, and I was talking to all of these different engineers that we brought on the new scope. And there's the one engineer group that does, this is all they do is resiliency things down in Miami and Miami Beach. And I looked at some of their work online, and then I looked at the BRIC grants that are out there. These are grants that contribute towards large, like $20 million projects. And so this thing that I'm going to show you here is that we'll have to pursue. And that is considering doing a planning for both Hudson and Coconut as a corridor, as to protect the corridor being East Ocean Avenue, resiliency corridor protection. And what my understanding is what we're seeing now with the inundation of water that comes from the west side of each one of these roads, and when tidals come up and then start to move east, we will see it start to regularly come onto A1A. Well, those two circles that I've got on that image, those are the intersections of A1A and Coconut Lane, and then A1A and Hudson. And what we would ask the grantor is the funds for is to keep that passable, because as the water comes in, if that becomes a puddle or as Billy calls it, a bowl, if that becomes two areas of bowls of water that you can't get past, that is the ingress and egress for hurricane ingress and egress, most of the town, right in the center of the town. And so I feel as though this is a long-term plan, but it's a plan that says we recognize that we need to protect the core part of our town, and this is it. So there's what I had in here right now is a fund set aside for planning. $750,000 that I've put in there. It's a big number. It has to be a shovel-ready project in order to get this type of grant funding. They will not give grants for items that has to be planned and permitted and ready to go.
Yeah, project.
So what it looks like now, this is just ideation, because a true engineer has to look at everything, give you all that information. But it would look like seawalls that are seawalls that are on the west side of the roads. It's additionally the proper valves to keep water from back, with the tides. The west side of the roads. And then behind.
Well. Because there's no wall.
Right, so
His property.
I'm referring to it as a tidal wall, but really it's still a sea, at the end of the day. And so these would be things that the engineers would come up with and say where it starts, where it ends, the workings of it. And then on Coconut, we have that opportunity and additional opportunities because they're
Not much. Just really what's about. About there. I don't know what I
The other issue is even when the valves are cleaned and it doesn't, we get that infiltration through the mangroves because the mangroves are a lot lower than the physical land.
Well, that's what south. South,
South side
the north side, if, look at the picture.
comes,
Gravel.
Right.
You can see all the way up to going east. Yeah, you have to take the seat.
right.
I mean, not maybe an engineer. That's gonna be fun. But anyway, I'm just gonna clear that out.
Yeah, they did the south side, what, a year ago, year and a half ago. They need to get on the north side.
Okay.
No, no.
In addition.
It really needs to incorporate. And that might be what they come back and tell us. They may come back and say, there's, we don't really have a solution for one area. Here's some thoughts. Because at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to keep all the water out. It's just mitigation. It's how much can we try and control it? And that's the expectation we would need to set with that one.
Right, so what do you want to say you do the? Yeah.
So the 600 from the natural gas, we'll cross that out. I would like to move it up to that third one down, which is seawall for Hudson.
800.
We already have that. So it's there, the 800 is there waiting. And my idea, correct, because we've been anticipating having 600,000 come from FEMA. But if it doesn't, then we're ready to go and we can just move forward with it. The 750, I was talking with Commissioner Cassidy about this too, because I like to pick her brain since she's a civil engineer. I don't know that we need all of the 750 in 1 year for planning. And that may be a lot for what we're talking about. Yeah, right. And so we can break it up if you like the idea of moving forward with having somebody look at it. And at least, but we do need to do something with Hudson. And yes, there's, concerns with making sure that that road has a chance to have eyeballs on it to see if it needs to be raised. I definitely, would like to do the same thing with Coconut. It's just a matter of what kind of return do we get? And Billy doesn't believe we're going to be able to raise it. And the whole point of, we're not gonna be able to go and raise everybody's roads, but we have to maintain access to the bridge to East Ocean for the general to be able to get it out. So. Correct. We just also want people to be able to get back in. It's just a mitigation. You're right. It doesn't. It would be wrong for me not to bring these things to you, and it's difficult, yeah, and, but these are the forward-looking kind of conversations that we should have. And I.
It's another truck. And
Very bottom, and it's not a lot. Yes. So we can take away from someplace else, or you can add to it, whatever you'd like to. Yes, I used it when I was reviewing it with the mayor. One, I think. I don't have it right now, but
It.
Bigger.
it's gonna be the length of the road itself and taking the riprap out. And then putting the seawall back in. I mean, I love being raw on, that way, and then there's money left, but to not, so we're a little distracted.
Makes sense. Hey, let's.
Well, I mean, we got this is totally $6 million. I want to see that, sure. We still have the. Michelle, there's a lot of conversation. Guys. This has got a $6 million. There's a lot of conversation. This. Not begin. I think she should. Yeah, in other words, our revenue less our expense and everything. Six.
But it's still in line with your priorities that you've outlined, so it's, that's what the money is there for, to spend it on your priorities, so totally up to you if you want to, or if you want to move it off to another year.
But it's an easier conversation. Starting there. Surplus.
Right, that's the priorities.
Well, or we could say, spend 6 million, then we're gonna either surplus it or not. It's a different.
So we can take away the property acquisition.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just it's just a reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the resiliency corridor, if you'd like, for this year, we can test it out, see if there's an engineer that thinks that we can do something, but 250,000 instead of the 750 for planning. That'll drop it another 500. So that's 2 million off.
That gets us to. And we're starting out the street. Beach.
Crossover. It's Diamond Beach.
It's not like go in there.
They don't have a big seal, they don't have to. But actually, it's an interesting question because both Wilson and San, they're right next door. So. It's a big meeting.
That's what the
very good.
That's what the Pollywood.
Right, but Jeff suggested. Yeah, one place not gonna be stopping. Just, he likes trouble. Yes, what I'm saying is if range wasn't as, but he shouldn't make any difference. But I can check. Maybe that's not what he's saying. Yeah. But the flat stuff. Yeah. Look, right.
The,
Sure he has. Sensation, man. I don't see, but I don't know about that.
so if you like in the content, the other part of that is, you know, I put the high end on that. So we got a range from 50 to 80 and I put that's in your back material. And so I put 80 because that's the high end. And I mean, that's the planning, you know, so I just reduced it down to 250, take 500. The whole purpose of this kind of an event, you know, workshop event, and reason we sit down and it's, you know, awkward, but we're sitting across from each other is for this, to say, you know, is this something that we should be futuristically planning for? And if so, how much should we be doing? And so this is the heavy lifting before we start putting the number crunching in. You did, except my last question is, do you want to put more towards repaving that? Than the 100,000 and actually get it accomplished this year? Okay. All right. Go do 500 after the blow up. And then 200 now on the repaving. So basically with your conversation today, as the press is here, I want to make sure she grabs this. You reduced the ask by 2 million for your capital projects.
So let's begin.
Right. And this is basically, you just did the budget reduction exercise. Good for you. Not even having to be handheld. Yes. Not even having to be handheld.
Where? Sure, we did. I do forget. The big crowd is so
Yeah. Big cracks. I have, at the bed by, over by Clara. We have an 18-inch there that needs to be the slip line, the vibrates and big valve on that. This is also including new valves. Yeah. Right. Now the curve by Mr. Burke area. Yeah. I have a valve. But none of it. Without the valve. It brings. It so reduces the flow. Oh, yeah, a lot. Very good. That went down in it. Having the low level house thing. Well, that's the basin I'm gonna work. It's just right there on there. It's hard. And he raised so that's my problem. Raise, I would. Anticipate right. Those, that's what's happening to a lot of people is we've got these low lines. Just like I'm so, that pretty well. That section. But. Where, now, there. You know.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Yeah.
what's taking that?
Yeah, I had bad, you know, coming in about. But saying.
The stuff that- Yeah.
That problem. See, that's where we're talking about, Copeland Allen. Even on I-5, that big water coming in Copeland Allen. It's property, years ago.
So if we ever built go all
The way on it. I think. 3/4 the way.
You know. If there's. Well.
The left.
That's the council doing it. That's what I'm saying, like, it's there.
No,
Yes, I get it. On the north side.
Oh,
We never get things.
the concourses.
Yeah. There's two houses.
There's one that's in bad shape.
Like, so, and
And then there's one that's 50%. And
when it's looking, they need
to the very end of the thing.
it's real as well.
That's good. That we just. Access express. They're trying to. And it's. It's the tax assessment. They have given us that. I did, they said that it says 16.
Yeah, you said 6.5.
It is. No, I'm talking about. Did you? Maybe that's just. So they'll have to, if we're, I'll get all the data. But if it's, but 900,000 is powers. I mean, it's still less than 10%. So I mean, it's only. For sure, guys. So I'm gonna have to get individual data. Because. They should be able to do that, but they.
But it has.
No, but they're saying based on the current proposal, that's why they should say. Saying based on it. But they've been. Yeah, they haven't given us the individual data. That's what we do. It's. So we'll definitely do it. Yeah, we're gonna request, I've actually requested. It might be a context. That's not major, bigger. You think it would be. It's too, and you, and the other thing I've got is I thought. Percentage of states. Just. Yeah. Okay, that's true. Yeah, and this new law. Doesn't get better. That's your 5 years. And then to the public schools, they get back and spend 6 8. Well, to be an instead, yeah. That's very nice. 8,000. So theoretically. Yeah. Well, if there already comes in. Yeah. And nobody challenges.
So anyway, so the, it is the. Share. Yeah, because it's one line, just says, here's what this is. So it goes to plan. That's another reason. It's just like you're sad. I don't have a chair. No, but this is one where they, this is not. It's probably some data. Maybe they've been different today. Wait, yeah, let me. Here. Look, it's so funny. Gotta be able to switch it. I got spiders to make them register. Right. You know.
So we can, it's a big, it says.
So they have to agree to that, but they're sending this paper.
Yeah, now they get, they made the inspector, so.
But then you have no
theoretically,
control.
yeah, sure, but. Yeah.
They're.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that's good there. Again. It's not like all of a sudden, yeah, they can't.
But we can't charge us, but we
The
can
way
charge.
they go out there, but it could be right out there. But should,
But I think the laws make it so we can't charge.
if we get rate hard fees, from our administration. Have to take away fees and what you charge. You know, and you take away, you have to give credit to have action. That may not. work. Actually,
It's just fee. Yep. Compared to fees.
wait, okay.
Really?
We already. Well, I thought we said we didn't do it. But that's it, that's maybe.
Right.
That's it.
I don't remember the conversation.
That's the question.
But we could do, we did that, man.
Like we're gonna rezone it back to residential.
Do it for declaration. So, I don't have. So,
different.
That's a big.
This doesn't change. Yeah, we don't have.
Thank you. Very good. Good for you. I'm not after you, be back here, right?
Yeah.
Next.
Gonna put filter up on that, put it on property.
Want you?
Yeah. Oh, good. Oh,
I actually would rather get out the book.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
no, I know.
I like part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that you said that. How much is that?